Also, as a result of the Russian-Vietnamese negotiations, President of the Russian Federation Vladimir Putin and the Secretary General of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam To Lam have signed a joint declaration on the key areas of the Russian-Vietnamese cooperation and all-encompassing strategic partnership on the new stage. Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony is complete.
Ban chấp hành Trung ương Đảng Cộng sản Việt Nam Tô Lâm và Tổng thống Liên bang Nga Vladimir Putin đã thông qua tuyên bố chung về những định hướng lớn của quan hệ đối tác chiến lược toàn diện Việt Nam Liên bang Nga trong giai đoạn mới. Kính thưa quý ông quý bà, lễ trao các văn kiện hợp tác đến đây được kết thúc.
President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, Secretary General of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam, To Lam, are making a statement after the negotiations. A simultaneous translation.
Vladimir Putin sẽ tiến hành họp báo.
Dear comrade To Lam, ladies and gentlemen, comrades, we're very happy to receive our Vietnamese friends in Russia, headed by the Secretary General of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam, comrade To Lam. Yesterday, along with many international leaders, we took part in the festivities dedicated to the 80th anniversary of the victory in the Great Patriotic War. Marching along the Red Square, shoulder to shoulder, with parade formations from Russia and other states, were 68 cadets of the First Officers Army School of Vietnam. I see this visit of our friends from Vietnam as yet another sign of the time-tested friendship between our countries. Russia keeps memory of the Vietnamese international volunteers who heroically fought in the ranks of the Red Army in 1941-1942 in the battle for Moscow. Last year, in the Moscow Patriot Park, there was a statue erected in their honor. The Soviet Union, in turn, did a lot to help the young Vietnamese state to stand for its freedom and independence, contributing to the country's economy, training, education, and infrastructure projects. And the USSR made a significant contribution to the liberation of the south of the country. The 50th anniversary of that event was celebrated on the 30th of April. This year marks the 75th anniversary of diplomatic ties between our states. Over those years, our relationship has grown stronger, evolving to an all-encompassing strategic partnership, and it continues to develop in the spirit of equality and respect to each other's interests. All this is confirmed by the negotiations that we had in a warm and constructive atmosphere. We were able to discuss the entire spectrum of the Russian and Vietnamese interaction and issues of international agenda. The outcome of this meeting was a solid package of documents and a joint declaration that reaffirms the key principles of our bilateral partnership and lays down specific milestones for our cooperation in the future, expanding mutually beneficial economic cooperation. Last year, our trade turnover grew by more than 20%, reaching $6 billion. We have a lot to work on, but we know just what exactly we have to do to reach the previous levels and to go on. Steady growth of our trade turnover is largely the result of a free trade agreement signed by Vietnam with the Eurasian Economic Union. This document not only ensures preferential terms for the access of our products and services to each country's markets, but also activates exchange of technology and innovation. It is important that Russia and Vietnam are migrating to their national currencies and mutual settlements and seek to build reliable channels of banking cooperation. Key role in ensuring mutual operations between our countries is played by the Russian-Vietnamese Bank that has been operating for more than 2 decades, providing a broad range of credit and financing services. Our cooperation in the energy sphere is going forward. I won't go into details of all the things that have been done. I just want to point out that this cooperation has been developing for many years successfully. Today we have approved more agreements regarding Russian-Vietnamese projects. Zarubezhneft is going to build a wind power station, 1 megawatt. Russian companies are interested in servicing Vietnam's hydro generation venues, and our agreement on peaceful use of atomic energy will give Vietnam access to cheap and environmentally clean energy, stimulating further growth of Vietnam's economy, creating thousands of new jobs, and training new qualified workforce. As we have heard today from the head of Rosatom, there are Vietnamese specialists that start working on Russian atomic projects in third countries, which further attests their high qualification. Examples of mutually beneficial industrial cooperation is the Da Nang project, where Gazelle trucks are being built. KAMAZ is extending its presence in Vietnam with a network of dealerships. Russia and Vietnam are carrying out a number of infrastructure projects. There's a Vladivostok-Ho Chi Minh transport route for container cargo. There's a logistics hub that consolidates cargo from Thailand, Malaysia, and other South Asian states. Bilateral cooperation in agriculture is being developed. A whole number of Russian regions, like Bashkiria, Tyumen region, Moscow suburbs, are deploying agricultural complexes with investments from Vietnamese businesses. A dairy farm near Moscow is opening tomorrow. Its products will go to the Asia-Pacific region as well. In the humanitarian sphere, it is a good tradition to hold regular mutual culture days that bring our nations together. National weeks of cinema, painting exhibitions, and creative performances go with great success in both countries. Over 3,000 citizens of Vietnam receive their education in Russia. A total of 75,000 citizens of Vietnam have gotten their education in Russia. We are ready to expand that cooperation further. Last year, I was on a visit in Vietnam, and I met with alumni of Russian universities, and I should say that this is a very active group of people, a reliable foundation for the development of bilateral ties, and we are very happy to see that. A lot of attention in Vietnam is being paid to learning Russian language. It is included in the school program as the first foreign language. For many years, the capital city of Vietnam has been home to the branch of the Pushkin Institute, which will open a regional Russian language study center for citizens of the entire Southeast Asia. The Tropical Research and Development Center is working in Vietnam, where Vietnamese and Russian specialists and scientists do research in important spheres such as environmental protection, healthcare, combating infectious diseases and epidemics, and so on. And of course, there is a visible growth of tourist flow between Russia and Vietnam, almost doubling last year. Our direct air communication is developing, with several new flights opening last year between Moscow and major cities like Hanoi and Nha Trang. Of course, during our negotiations, we touched upon topical issues of the national and international agenda. Let me emphasize that in many of these areas, Russia and Vietnam's positions are similar, both countries standing firm on principles of sovereignty and non-intervention into home affairs. We coordinate our efforts on many international platforms, including the Russia-ASEAN, advocating together the peaceful and sustainable development of the Asia-Pacific region. In conclusion, I would like to express my gratitude to Comrade To Lam for productive work. Today's negotiations will no doubt serve to strengthen the entire area of the all-encompassing strategic partnership between Russia and Vietnam for the benefit of the peoples of our countries. We are grateful to Comrade To Lam for his direct personal contribution to the Russian-Vietnamese relationship. Ever since Comrade To Lam became the Secretary General, we see big progress in the Russian-Vietnamese connections and relationship in many areas, and we are very grateful for that. Thank you.
Thưa đồng chí Tổng thống Liên bang Nga Vladimir Putin kính mến, thưa các đồng chí Liên bang Nga và Việt Nam,
Mr. President,
thưa các bạn phóng viên
colleagues,
thân mến, tôi rất là vui mừng được trở lại thăm đất nước Nga tươi đẹp và vĩ đại.
I am happy to be visiting again the beautiful and magnificent Russia upon the invitation of President Vladimir Putin, a loyal friend and comrade of Vietnam, to take part in the festivities dedicated to the 80th anniversary of victory in the Great Patriotic War. First of all, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to the President and the leadership of the Russian Federation for the warm and hospitable relationship myself and my delegation enjoyed in the country. I congratulate you on the festivities on the Victory Day, which is a very important event that is forever in the history, commemorating the memory of those who shed their blood and fell, defending the world from the Nazism and bringing freedom and peace to humankind. This victory teaches younger generation the values, the traditional values. We have celebrated the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the south of Vietnam, which is now part of the history of our nations as one of the most brilliant pages of revolutionary heroism and a great feat of the 20th century. These two events are especially important in the light of the partnership and connection between our two countries. President Putin and myself have had sincere and mutually respectable negotiations, dwelling on a number of international issues. We have confirmed that the leaders and peoples of Vietnam and Russia have always valued this many years of friendship between two countries that has withstood the test of time and has been developing in the interests of the two nations for the well-being of the citizens of the two countries. President Putin and myself have agreed the key areas of all-encompassing strategic partnership between our two countries in the new time. We have agreed to strengthen the foundations of the high political trust laid down by generations of leaders and peoples of the two countries, strengthen the political exchange and dialogue on all levels between the parties and the states, the parliaments and the common people, strengthen the traditional education of the younger generation in the two countries, to create breakthroughs in the economic, trade and investment cooperation between the two countries, capitalizing on the current potential, removing all obstacles in the way of trade and business, increasing cooperation in pure energy, closed-loop economy. We agreed to pursue special projects that symbolize our friendship in the new era. We have agreed to support oil and gas projects, clean energy projects, investment expansion, and to work on each other's territories in accordance with the international law and the UN Charter. We have agreed to create new efficient developments in science and technology, nuclear energy, biotech, semiconductor industry, and we have always agreed to support joint research and development projects. We have agreed to strengthen our cooperation in defense and security and military equipment, to react together to non-traditional challenges, cybersecurity threats, and violations in the sphere of high technology. We have agreed to strengthen cooperation in education, professional training. We have agreed to train more specialists to teach Russian language in Vietnam and Vietnamese language in Russia. We have agreed to expand air communication and air travel between the two countries, and I would like to use this occasion to announce that yesterday the national Vietnam Airlines resumed direct air communication between the capital cities of the two countries. We have also started flights connecting the two countries. We have agreed activation of efforts to support peace and security and stability in the Pacific region, in the Asia-Pacific region. And Vietnam hopes that Russia, as a permanent UN Security Council member, will continue playing its role in supporting stability and security in the region, ensuring freedom and security of navigation, and in peaceful resolution of all conflicts in the region, including the East Sea, in accordance with the international legislation, including the UN 1982 Maritime Navigation Convention. We welcome efforts within the ASEAN to build a strong and indivisible community within the ASEAN. I'd like to use this occasion to thank the President for his unwavering support of Vietnamese people working in the Russian Federation, and we hope that Russian authorities keep supporting the Vietnamese nationals working in Russia and help them integrate in the Russian community. Once again, thank you, Mr. President, and the media for your sincere and exhaustive coverage of my visit. I invite President Putin to visit Vietnam, and we're happy to know that he has accepted the invitation.
phóng viên có mặt tại đây
I
hôm nay.
wish Vladimir Putin strong health and best of luck to everyone here. Thank you very much.
Господин Талам, наш дорогой друг и товарищ, упомянул сейчас
Comrade Talam, our dear friend and comrade, has spoken about another area of our cooperation, about boosting cooperation in security and defense. I didn't speak about that, but I confirm that we have such plans. And as it is said in a song, from the Taiga to the British seas, the Red Army is stronger than anyone. So let's hope our plans come true in this area as well.